What's up, NBA fans? Dom2K on the mic, and as you know, the season is right around the corner. As I'm looking, it seems like there's about 13 days left, and there's a lot of mixed feelings coming into the season. Some people feel like the hype is killed because Kevin Durant went to Golden State and created that huge super team, and some people are just happy to see basketball again. Now, if you're not hyped, I did my best to try to pick up the mood for the season by making an NBA mix for the 2016-2017 season. Came out a couple of days ago. You can go check that out if you want to. And today's video is going to be about, in my opinion, the top 3 hardest point guards to guard in the NBA. Now, obviously, like I said, this is opinion based because I'm not an NBA player and I've never defended any of these guys, but I have watched them religiously, and just based off of what I've seen and some number crunching, I would guess they are the 3 hardest point guards to guard. Now, as we know, this is the golden age of point guards because every team has one. Even if they're not a superstar, there's so many good ones. In fact, that it seems that there's always 1 or 2 that get left off the all-star team, particularly in the West every year. So this is kind of a difficult video to make, but we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. Number 3, Kyrie Irving. Now, who didn't know Kyrie was going to make this list? We just watched him fresh off an amazing finals performance going against the unanimous MVP Steph Curry. And if you've been watching Kyrie Irving for a long time, even before the days of LeBron James, you know he is one of the hardest not only point guards, but really players to guard in the NBA. Kyrie really is one of the worst type of players you will ever have to guard, and I think we all know the feeling whether you actually play for a team or you play pickup basketball. You go to guard this guy, and your opponent not only can shoot the basketball really well, but he also has handles and speed out of this world so he can get to the rim. And this just basically leaves the defender in no man's land, because if you get too close to him, he's just going to cross you over and get to the rim. You give him too much space, and then he just rises up and knocks down the shot. So this really gives the defender no good way to guard him. You can only try to contain him. Kyrie is such a great offensive player that the most common argument you hear against him being a top point guard in the league is that people like to say he's not a point guard, he's a shooting guard, because you know people expect the point guard to pass and set up the offense, and it really seems like scoring is his best asset. And that is pretty much true, because if Kyrie Irving isn't scoring the basketball, he's not giving you too much else. However, it's important to note that the point guard has really evolved in the NBA because, well, as we've seen with this golden age, point guard has to be able to do more than just set up the offense and play make. Scoring has become such an important part of the game for pretty much every position, and Kyrie Irving has really mastered that at the point guard position. Kyrie Irving's stats for the last season aren't really worth looking at because he was coming back from that broken kneecap, so he was on a minutes restriction. I think he only played about 30 minutes a game. But when he came to the playoffs, not only, you don't even have to look at his stats to see this. If you just watched it, you saw what an offensive explosion he had. For the entire playoffs last year, he averaged 25 points. He did this on 47% field goal shooting, and he was knocking down his 3-point shots very efficiently at 44%. So to wrap it up for Kyrie, he really does have a full package on offense. Not only is he going to knock down the 3-point shot and just jumpers in general if you give them to him, but he has a really nice touch around the rim, and his ball handling skills are amongst the top in NBA history. If you don't believe me, just check out this montage because I'm pretty sure it's kind of impossible to stay in front of Kyrie.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No.
Number 2, Russell Westbrook. Now, whatever you think you've seen from Westbrook in the last years he's been playing with Kevin Durant, I promise you it's about to get 10 times better. He no longer has to share the ball with another superstar on the team, and that's good for him and very, very bad for whatever point guard has to guard him on that given night. Every time I talk to my friends about Westbrook, I pretty much always say the same thing. I got this little saying that goes, if I was an NBA player and I knew I had to defend Russell Westbrook the next game, I would probably have nightmares that night. Westbrook's game is almost the complete opposite of Kyrie Irving's, but it still works equally as well in some facets, I guess. That's a little bit of its own argument. But anyways, where Kyrie Irving kind of finesses his way to the rim, and as I said, he's not that physically imposing, Russell Westbrook really moves you out of the way, and yes, he's extremely physically imposing. He's pretty much like a pack of dynamite. He's one of the most athletic players to ever play the game of basketball, and the craziest part about staying in front of him is that everything he does is on 110% all the time. And because he's always pushing his athleticism to the max, he can get to the rim pretty much any time he wants. Now, he does need to work on his finish. I always say if his touch can become like the 2011 version of Derrick Rose, then Westbrook would be truly unstoppable, because sometimes he does take layups off the wrong foot. He drives kind of reckless to the basket, and he can end up missing a lot of layups for that reason. But that has almost everything to do with Westbrook and the decisions he makes, and almost nothing to do with the defender, because, well, the defender can't really stay in front of this guy. Just check out how mind-blowing his stats for the last season were. He averaged 23 points, 10 assists, and pretty much 8 rebounds if you round it up. But the crazy thing about that, he's a point guard almost averaging a triple-double in the golden age of point guards in the modern era. That's pretty unbelievable. His stats are an awesome segue into what I want to mention next, because guarding Russell Westbrook is a full-time job. It's not enough that you got to try to figure out a way to stop him from getting to the rim on the offensive side, but even when it's your team's possession, you constantly have to be aware of where he's at, because out of those 8 rebounds he's averaging last season, 6 of those are coming from the defensive side, which means he's rebounding your team's missed shots. Your best chance with Russell Westbrook is pretty much just letting him shoot jump shots, and particularly 3-pointers, because he's only shooting 29% with those. So if Westbrook is going to pull up for a 3, he's pretty much bailing you out. But again, he averaged 45% on his field goal percentage last year, which means he's pretty much getting a lot of what he wants. Now, Westbrook is far from perfect. He definitely has some things he needs to work on, like his late game decisions, just overall basketball IQ. He can get better as a basketball player. But as far as matchups at the point guard position, I definitely have to think he comes really high on pretty much any point guard who you would ask who's the hardest to defend. Westbrook has to be right there. Not only is he going to come at you the entire night, but he's going to let you hear about it. I cannot remember for the life of me what game I was watching or what year it was, but I do remember Russell Westbrook, he was dominating somebody one night, and then the coach decided to switch another defender on him, and I remember Westbrook telling him don't run or don't hide or something like that, telling the coach put him back on me. So on top of the fact that he's going to play at breakneck speeds, he's going to play at 110% the entire night, and he's going to do that on both sides of the basketball, he's also not going to be afraid to let you hear about it. Let's not forget about the fact that he will dunk on you like he's an athletic 6'8" small forward, yet he's a point guard. It's been around 55 years since somebody averaged a triple-double for an entire season in the NBA, but do not be surprised if Russell Westbrook breaks that streak this year. Number 1, Steph Curry. Whether we like to admit it or not, Steph Curry almost completely changed the way we think about shooting a basketball last season. Before him, the golden standard for shooting was Ray Allen, and if Curry keeps it up with consistency, if he takes what he did last year and extends it for, a couple more years or whatever he has left in his career, he will be the new gold standard when it's all said and done. And it's pretty simple. His range is so much farther than anybody's in history. It's not even close. First off, just take a look at this chart that I have on the screen. Some of these shots are ridiculously far, and if you watch the season, I don't really have to explain what he did, because I understand that some of the circles on here really bunched up because this is all the shots that he took throughout the season. Field goal percentage is 50%, first of all. That should really stick out to you, and especially when you watch the type of shots he took. Not only were some of them far, some of them were contested, falling away, off the dribble, pretty much every type of shot that your coach would probably tell you to never take, or he's putting you on the bench. I really don't think I need to reiterate anything about the contested shots. You guys saw them with your own eyes. We all know how that went. But check this out. This hasn't really happened before. When you step across the half-court line and look like you're about to shoot the ball and the defender actually has to take you seriously, that really changes the whole offense and defense on the floor, because all of a sudden, whoever's guarding him is all the way out there by the half-court line, all the way above the three-point line, pretty much where the coach used to tell you, you don't need to guard somebody out that far. That makes no sense. The floor is way too spread. You don't need to do that. You might need to help on somebody else. You can't help on somebody else when you're guarding Steph Curry, because if you blink, if you look the other way, he's going to let it fly, and as his field goal percentages show, it's probably going to go in. This historic spreading of the floor not only gets his teammates wide open shots, which really works with the Warriors considering most of them could shoot, it also really opens up his game, because along with Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry also has probably the second or third best ball handles in the league, which means when you play him really close, he can get right past you, and of course the defense starts rotating, starts collapsing inwards. He can get to the rim, he's a really good finisher, and he is a very good passer with a high IQ, so he can really kick it to one of his open teammates, and it just makes it overall, I don't really know what your game plan is for Steph Curry. Curry. And that's the thing I want to talk about with him. The reason I have him above Kyrie Irving and Russell Westbrook is because Steph Curry simply shattered traditional game plans this year. Because if you're going to let him pull up, he's going to make it. And if you're going to let him drive, he's actually a really good finisher. I'm not sure where the narrative this season came from where people were saying that all Steph Curry ever does is shoot threes. I mean, just look at the numbers. I watched him play, but you can look at the numbers if you think that. So we're going to get really literal here. Steph Curry made 805 field goals this year. Out of those 805, 402 of them were three-pointers, 403 of them were two-pointers. Those numbers quite literally mean that his game breaks down right down the middle at half and half. And if you watch him play, you could clearly see that. Yes, he took a lot of threes, and he took a lot more than a lot of people really ever would try. But he also had that part of his game where he could drive and get to the rim. And, you know, the jump shots. If you gave him an open two-point jump shot, that was pretty much money too. But Steph Curry last season had both one of the best statistical and visually pleasing seasons I've really ever seen. He averaged 30 points a game, shot 90% from the free throw line. His field goal percentage for those crazy shots he was taking, 50%, that is amazing when you think about what you were actually looking at. And then 45% from the three-point line. And when you look at this from the defender standpoint, I think the one thing that would be worse than Kyrie Irving's ball handling and shooting, or Russell Westbrook's all-out assault on the rim the entire night, the one thing that would be worse than that is to know that you can play perfect defense on a guy, but he's still really not going to miss that much. Anyways, that was my list for the top 3 point guards in the NBA that I think are probably the toughest to guard. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the 3 best point guards in the NBA because I did a little survey before I posted this video on my Instagram to see what people thought, and the answers really varied. So you can answer that in the comment section too. Who do you think are the top 3 toughest point guards to guard in the NBA? And if you want to, you can answer who you think is the best point guards in the NBA because that is always a fun debate. Sometimes Steph Curry is number 1 and sometimes he's somehow not in the top 5. I don't understand some of the shit I read online, but whatever. I'm gonna read all of it. You guys feel free to comment. I'm Dom2K, and I'll see you guys on the next video.